AMAC 50,000 here, back with another great fairy tale. Now, in my last video, I know a lot of you liked it, but some people didn't like the swearing. So now, I'm censoring myself, so I can swear as much as I want. I'm sure future me doesn't mind me editing. How you doing, future me? You past me. Go eat it. Ah, that's good, that's good. Alright, so anyway, let's get this thing on the road. Today, we're talking about the tale of King Thrushbeard, or as I like to call it, the Princess and the Illuminati. So, let's get started. Once in a faraway land, this light is annoying me goodbye. Once in a faraway, but it sucks without it. Okay. Once, this is completely uncensored on anything, so lighting... You know, it's okay, it gives me the fairy tale vibe. Okay. I'm a wise old man telling my stories. Not hanging any of this up. You're right, you know. Okay. So once there was a king and his daughter. We're just gonna call the daughter Princess. Yeah, Princess. Okay. So Princess was a which I can't blame her. 1500, she was a woman. They kind of treated them like not a lot's changed, come to think about it. Anyway. So Princess was being forced to be married off, which, once again, 1500s. Pretty much back then, if you didn't marry, there was some pretty bad stuff said about you. But anyway, God, come to think about it, a lot of these fairy tales just involve putting women in their place. Huh. A lot of sexist fairy tales. But anyway, Princess basically, whenever a suitor would come to her, she would say, oh, he's too scrawny, or he's too fat, and just insult them, basically, yeah, she would just be a just insult them all day and all night. But, after a while, her father, the king, got sick of it. So, he's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a lot of suitors from all across this place. And they're just gonna all line up, and my daughter is going to pick one. So, he does that, they all line up. She goes down, too skinny, too scrawny, too short, too fat, and just insults them all the way down, until she gets to the very end, where a king of a neighboring kingdom is there. He stands proud and tall. He's a young man, about, I think, 20, whatever, he's the same age as the princess, it doesn't really matter. But he stands there, and the princess just starts laughing. Because she looks at his beard, which is crooked a bit, and she says it looks like the beak of a thrush. Now, for those of you that don't know what a thrush is, let me tell you. A thrush belongs to the family of Turridae, and is an insortative or omnivore thrush. There are over 180 over 180 species. The thrushes are sometimes classified with the marsupial group. The Turridae group includes the blackbird, redwing, bluebird, the American robin, thrush. The European robin used to belong to the group thrush. But I guess a coup happened, it got exiled. Thrushes are some of the most familiar and famous songbirds in the world, and are found in all major land masses except New Zealand and Antarctica. Strangely, some thrushes have straight beaks, despite the words of the princess in the tale. Thrushes are celebrated in literature for their song, but can also be a symbol of sorrow or even wisdom. Notice that King Thrushbeard stands high in the row. So he's a rich and powerful king. Yeah, and it seems like all of the citations in that definition are from Aesop. That's really weird. That's really fucking weird. That's f***ed up. But yeah. Oh, and just a reminder, I'm reading the fairy tale from memory, but just this one definition I wanted to pull up. Okay. So now that I've wasted all of your time, let's get back to it. So, she insults everyone. She laughs and says that the king's beard looks like a thrush. And since apparently everyone had fucking Facebook and Twitter back then, everyone just starts calling the king Thrushbeard. Even though, how did they know? It was a private meeting? I don't know. Facebook, Twitter, 1500s had these. Conspiracy. Anyway, the king, not King Thrushbeard, the actual father, her father, I'm just gonna call him her father, basically says, okay, I've had it with you. That's it. Next beggar that comes in here, I'm going to marry you to them. You know, like a good father. So, the next day, a lute player, I think it was a lute, it doesn't really matter the instrument, yeah, a lute player comes in and plays a song, and the king's like, hey, that was a good song. Lute player's like, you gonna give me some money? And he's like, no, I'm gonna give you my daughter, but I really don't. Take the daughter. So, the daughter marries him. Much to her dismay, she did not want to marry this lute player. Obviously. But the father makes her, because A, he's the king and he can do what he wants, and B, he is sick and tired of her bull. But the marriage is done, and the king says, okay, you're a beggar now. Get out of my castle. So, he sends the lute player and his daughter out of the castle, and the lute player starts walking home with her. And they get to this beautiful, beautiful meadow. And she says, this is a beautiful meadow. Who owns it? And he says, King Thrushbeard. If you had married him, you would have had this And she's like, oh, I should have married him. And he's like, well, too late, you're married to me now. Goes to a forest. Who's this forest belong to? King Thrushbeard. If you had married, it would have been yours. Oh, well, too late now. And she's really starting to regret not marrying King Thrushbeard. Then she gets to the town. She's like, oh, who's this town belong to? And the lute player says, you know what? You know this. Stop asking me. You know this. It's just gonna be the same thing, because that's what they do in fairy tales. They repeat the same thing 3 times or more just to get the emphasis across. But no, that's bad storytelling. You get it across once and you get it across right. You don't repeat the same goddamn line 5 times because you're too goddamn lazy to write good. Okay. That was unexpected. Back on track. So, she finds out all this stuff is owned by King Thrushbeard, but the lute player eventually says, hey, I'm your husband. Stop saying you wish you married different people, you And she says back, basically, you're a lute player. I wish I had married anyone different, you can't. So yeah, things aren't getting off to a good start. Then she approaches a small cabin. And she's like, does King Thrushbeard own this too? Are we just passing this? And, nope, mine. We live here now. And she kind of groans. And he's like, okay, here's your household duties. They're not just a few. You just need to... Basically, yeah, he just wanted her to take care of the house while he was lute playing. Doing lute playing. Because that's real work. I mean, Okay, it's one thing if you're an actual musician and you're actually playing in a band or something. But the lute player, he's just going around begging. Like, you can't just go around begging for money with an instrument. I'll get to that later. I mean, I don't have anything against musicians. If you're in a real band and you're doing real work and you're creating your own stuff and getting out there, that's fine. But he's just going around playing songs and begging for money. But anyway, yeah, don't you just love the rants in this series? But getting back on track. So she tries doing all the household stuff. She fails miserably. She actually makes more work for the lute player than before she was there. And the lute player just eventually says, it. You know what? I'll take care of all this. You just go and make baskets and sell them. And she tries to make baskets, but her delicate hands are too fragile, and she keeps getting cut. And he's just... Eventually he gets fed up with her and says, okay, apparently you're incapable of doing this one task, you... So, now, instead of weaving baskets, you're going to go and... Honestly, I forget. Another task, she fails at it horribly. Oh yeah, chopping wood. But she can't because she's not strong enough, so he's like, okay, here's the deal. I just bought a ton of crockery from this guy. Got a really good deal on it. You're gonna take it, you're gonna go to the market, and you're gonna sell it. And she's like, what are you gonna be doing? She's like, I'm gonna be playing the lute for no reason. Because that's how I make my money. By randomly playing the... This is not a good business strategy, man! I mean, if you want to do it as a hobby, that's fine, but if that's your entire business strategy, you're not even a band. You're just... There are gonna be people that are gonna give me a whole lot of crap for shitting on musicians, but honestly, it's just... It's not that he wanted to make a living off music, it's that he had no idea how to do it. He's just going around begging for money playing his lute. Look, man, you want to make money off music, you get a band, you play that band at gigs. That's how you make your way up. You don't just go around begging for money, then complain to your wife when you're not doing anything. You know what? None of this shit's gonna even matter in the end, so I'm just gonna get off it before people kill me. But my point is, he wasn't doing shit. He wasn't doing shit. He was just making his wife do everything, then complaining when she didn't do it. That's why you have a small cabin, because you can't work, you can't. But anyway, she actually succeeds in selling the crockery. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what crockery is, don't look it up. Whatever you're thinking it is right now, it's much, much better than what it actually is. So, she starts selling the crockery, and she's doing pretty good. And one day she sets up at the corner of the market. She's selling it all. Then a drunk hussar is a soldier for you don't. Hussar is a soldier, for you guys that don't know. He was driving a cart, and he accidentally rammed into her crockery and destroyed it all. So she's like, no, what am I gonna do? My husband's gonna be so disappointed in me. He's out there working hard, doing absolutely nothing. Seriously, man. Seriously, man. Get a job. Oh, or if you want to do music for a living, get in a band and play some gigs. You can't make money begging for it. People are greedy as shit. They're not gonna give you a god penny. or shilling, or whatever it was, because I'm 90% sure this took place in England in the 1500s, maybe France, but that's where a lot of these things originate from. I don't know, they never really gave a definite place. I hate it when things don't do that. So anyway, she comes home and he's like, seriously? Okay, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go, I got you a place at King Thrushbeard's court. You're gonna go in there, and you are going to work as a maid. Or I think kitchen wench was the actual title. Kitchen wench is the PC title. We can't call them secretaries anymore. We gotta call them office assistants. We can't call them maids anymore. We gotta call them kitchen wenches. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. Yeah. I'm gonna get so much. Anyway, so she does that. She's the lowest of the low. She does a lot of dirty stuff, but that sounds bad. She does, well, after all the dirty sex thing, she also does, like, dirty kitchen thing. It also sounds bad. But when she was done with all that, she, had a jar which she kept somewhere on her person, and she would just fill it up with all the extra scraps and stuff from the kitchen. And at the end of every day, once she did that, she'd take it home, and they would eat from that, and in addition to her normal pay. So one day, I think it was, I forget, someone in the kingdom was getting married. She didn't know who, and she didn't know who it was to. It was the king himself. The king was getting married. So she's like, I don't want to go to this banquet, since Thrushbeard might recognize me. But I really want that food, since they were serving, like, the most exquisite food. So she went, and she put a bunch of... Why is my nose so itchy? She put a bunch of the most exquisite food in the kingdom in her little jar. The servants gave it to her. She put it in her jar. She's gonna take it home. She's about to leave since her jar is full. When the prince himself, or no, the king, King Thrushbeard. Actually, I'm just gonna call him KT. KT. KT sees her, recognizes her, and asks her to dance. And at first she's hesitant, but he grabs her and starts dancing with her. And eventually, as they're dancing, her jar falls out and splatters all on the floor. And everyone laughs. And she's about to run away when Thrushbeard grabs her and tells her to look at him. She looks him dead in the face, and this is when things... This is when the second part of the story comes in. She immediately recognizes him, not just as King Thrushbeard, though. And King Thrushbeard just looks down, smiles, and says, "Are you ready for some Illuminati sh**? I'm also the lute player. I'm also the drunk hussar that ran over your crockery. This was all done to put you in your place, because this is the 1500s. And you're marrying me today. This is what the wedding's for." Instead of slapping him and leaving after putting her through hell like she should have done, she falls in love. And they marry. The king was there. Her father, the king, was in on all of this. Literally all of this. He knew from the start. He helped put it together, because that's what a good father does. But yeah, she had been mellowed out, made into not so much of a and she lived happily ever after. This isn't how people are. Like, here's my critique of the story. Oh crap, I think my lunch is done. Okay. I'm gonna end the clip now, gonna come back in a minute and tell you my critique of the story. And we're back. Alright, so how to make this story better. Well, let's see. First of all, kind of a foundational thing. I mean, First of all, they could stop repeating their same goddamn sentences like 5 times, but honestly, for as much as they give the story, fundamentally it's kind of good. It's about someone that, was being kind of selfish and not paying attention to the feelings of others, learning some humility, albeit even if she was kind of justified in being kind of a but honestly, I think the story was ran alright. I like the twist at the end, kind of. Other than a few minor things, I thought the story was good, as much as I like to criticize it. But yeah, I can't really think of too much. I mean, yeah. That was kind of a letdown. Kind of anticlimactic after that much I've complained about it. But, yeah. I mean, it has a good moral. Don't be a b****. So, yeah. I mean, if you took this and wanted to write about it in kind of like a modern day context, there would only be a few things you'd have to change. Like, instead of like a forced marriage, it could be like, okay, let's change this. Let's see how would I put this in a modern day context instead of how to make the story better. Because the story itself is pretty good. It has a good narrative. It has a good moral. Even though it does tend to repeat itself a bit, but all fairy tales do. So, if I were to put this in a modern day context, it would probably be... The only way I can think about it is to do, like, a... kind of like a high school thing, high school drama or some like that. Where let's make Princess like one of the most popular girls at school. A bunch of guys try and date her, but she rejects all of them because and insults all of them. Eventually, people realize she's a and she's no longer popular, and she ends up the only person that will befriend her is an unpopular guy, but as she dates him, or as she hangs out with him and ends up dating him, she begins to see that popularity isn't the most important thing, and becomes less of a and ends up regaining her popularity, but at that point she doesn't really care about popularity. Although that's kind of a completely different story. The thing that irks me about this is, once again, I can't really see past the forced marriage bit. I mean, she was forced to be married, plus she was a woman in the 1500s, so she kind of had a right to be a but other than that, I thought the story was pretty good. Definitely didn't have as many plot holes as Bluebeard. And don't worry, guys, I'm gonna read some stories that were really, really bad. But until then, I'm AMAC 50,000, and I will see you later. Bye!